to start, Conrad?
Well, welcome to, it's November already. Those of you that weren't paying attention, we didn't meet last month. We had a wonderful experience last month with the first, hopefully annual Cowboy Poetry event here in Winnsboro. We had a really good group of both singers and poets who came in from 3 states, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona. Really good quality instrumentalists and singers and wonderful poetry and some really funny men. And then we're very fortunate that they came, and hopefully we'll have it again next year. I have just a few announcements from the Center for the Arts. On the 21st, which is rapidly approaching, it's on a Thursday night. The amazing Kinky Friedman will be here on his famous Texas Kingster tour. And he was on his way between Dallas and someplace else, and thinking he could stop here on Thursday and entertain us. And so those tickets are available currently on the Winnsboro for the Center for the Art website. Just the show starts at 7:30. I don't know what the ticket prices are. I wouldn't doubt they're going to be pretty pricey. But Kinky's a trip. If you've never seen Kinky, go to that thing. We have a nice group of people with him that'll be opening for the forum and playing.
I don't remember either what the ticket prices are, but I remember seeing them and noting that they were significantly lower than Michael Martin Murphy's.
Than it would have been if it had been on the weekend. If he had been on the weekend, it would have been.
He's the one that ran for governor or president?
Yeah.
Governor?
Governor.
Yeah. I heard
He's got his
speaks.
own line of cigars. He brags about being a Jewish Texan, like me. Anyway, so he'll be here on the 21st, which is next Thursday. December 8th, Hannah Kirby will be back. Hannah is out of Silver Spring. She's a wonderful singer, performer. She's been here once or twice before. Her show is always great, and it's usually sold out, so get your tickets now. And then in January, Eliza Gilkison will be here. Eliza was here in '09, I believe, at the old Crossroads music company on Main Street. So I've seen her before. She's a wonderful, really good singer-songwriter. And right now, the Men in the Arts exhibit is ongoing at the Arts Center. And that's what's going on over there. For those of you who haven't visited our new Winnsboro Museum, it is usually open when they can get enough volunteers for it on Friday from 11 to 4, Saturday 11 to 4, and Sunday afternoon from, I think it's either 1 to 4.
What was the hours on Saturday?
11 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And also Sunday afternoon. They have somebody volunteer to work every Sunday afternoon. That's after church on Sunday. They got lots of really neat things in the museum, both railroad stuff and then some Civil War stuff and some Winnsboro stuff. The cowboy photography exhibit, I believe, ended at the end of October, so I don't know if there's anything replacing it. As far as artwork is concerned, we'll have to go visit the museum for that. They hope to start taking membership soon. There'll be just a basic membership of $10 or $15. They need money to operate it. Obviously, even though the city helped put it together, and the operating funds to pay for electricity and that kind of thing. So you can just make donations to the jar inside. You can put a couple of bucks in it. That's what I got on the announcements. I only got a few things to read tonight. Shel Silverstein book arrived at my shop recently. It's called Falling Up. Here it is. This is what Shel looked like in case you forgot.
Author?
Shel Silverstein. Well, Stein, depending on what part of the city you grew up in. See, the poems and drawings. He was an artist. He did pencil drawing. And dedicated to Matt. It was not a first edition. It came out in 1996. the second printing, so it's close. And I'm just going to read the first two of this book and the first two of that book, and I'll be finished for the night. And next month, if I remember, I'll read the third book. The first poem is called Falling Up. That's what the book is named after. And so I'm going to read that to start. Here's the picture of the girl falling up. You always want to know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Or a boy, could be a boy too. His screw his laces undone, and the other shoe is down here. And that's his Tammy. He's a falling up. I tripped on my shoelace, and I fell off. Up to the rooftops, up over the town, up past the treetops, up over the mountains, up where the colors blend into the sounds. But it got me so dizzy, when I looked around, I got sick to my stomach, and I threw down. Okay, this is called plugging in. And we didn't do a picture for this one. We did a picture for the next poem after that. I might read that, but plugging in is very short. So this is called plugging in. Shel Silverstein. Peg plugged in her electric toothbrush. Mitch plugged in his steel guitar. Rick plugged in his CD player. Liz plugged in her VCR. Mom plugged in her electric blanket. Pop plugged in the TV fights. I plugged in my blower dryer. Hey, who turned out all the lights? I'll read another one here because I get a funny picture of it. It's called Complaining Jack. And here's Jack in the box who's complaining to somebody about something. It's a show and tell. Complaining Jack. This morning, my old Jack in the box popped out and wouldn't get back in the box. He cried, hey, there's a tack in the box, and it's cutting me through and through. There's also a crack in the box, and I never find a snack in the box. And sometimes I hear a quack in the box, 'cause a duck lives in here too. Complain, complain is all he did. I finally had to close the lid. Shel Silverstein. I'll read some more next month. This other one is called The Gospels in Our Age, and it's an anthology of 20th century poetry based on biblical texts. It's edited by a guy named David Curzon. And I'm just going to go to the first one and the first couple and read them.
Would you hold that one up again, the cover?
Okay, it's,
I mean, hold it toward the camera.
see who the art is by. Oh, okay, look and see who the art is by.
Got it,
Got
thanks.
it? Let's see if it says what the cover art is. Nope, doesn't tell me what the cover art is. It's the first edition for those of you who collect. Stuff in there. I'm going to skip the introduction and have a lot of little poems in it. I'll find it. All right, this section, the first section is called The Gospels in Our Image. And the first one is from John 1:14, the Word made flesh. I'll read the verse and then I'll read the poem. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. We have beheld his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father. Now this was written by Jorge Luis Borges. And it was written in Spanish. It was written in 1964. The Oriental histories relate that one king of those times, subject to splendor and tedium, would venture out alone and in secret wander through the precincts and lose himself in mobs of people with rough hands and unknown names. Today, like that emir of the believers, Harem, God, wants to be with men, and is born of a mother, like the birth of dynasties that decompose to dust, and the whole world will be given up to him. Air, water, bread, tomorrows, lilies, stone, and afterwards of the blood of martyrdom, the mocking in the nails and the beam. This is from D.H. Lawrence. I assume it's the same passage, because it doesn't say anything else. They say that reality exists only in the spirit, that corporal existence is a kind of death, that pure being is bodiless, that the idea of the form precedes the form substantial. But what nonsense is this? As if any mind could have imagined a lobster dozing in the underdepths, then reaching out a savage and iron claw. Even the mind of God can only imagine those things that have become themselves. Bodies and presences, here and now, creatures with a foothold in creation, even if it is only a lobster on tiptoe. Religion knows better than philosophy. Religion knows that Jesus was never Jesus till he was born from a womb and ate soup and bread and grew up and became, in the wonder of creation, Jesus with a body and with needs and a lovely spirit. It's a short one on the Annunciation. I won't read it, it's quite long, so I'm not going to read the Annunciation, but you know what that is if you've ever read the Gospel. This is by Samuel Menashe. It's called the Annunciation. She bows her head, submissive, yet a downcast glance asks the angel, why for this romance do I qualify? This is by Rosario Castellanos, and it's called Nazareth. It's also a short one. Descending to the cave where the archangel made his announcement, I think of Mary, chosen base. Like any cup, easily broken. Like all vessels, too small for the destiny she must contain. Find a poem, a poet that I know. Okay, Rudyard Kipling. We've all heard about old Rudyard. This is on the Nativity, and they, of course, they give all the whole Nativity. It was written between 1914 and 1918, which is obviously the First World War, or during the First World War. Rudyard Kipling, A Nativity it's called. The babe was laid in the manger between the gentle kind, all safe from cold and danger, but it was not so with mine, with mine, with mine. It is well with the child, it is well. Well, start again. Is it well with the child? Is it well? The waiting mother prayed, for I know not how he fell, and I know not where he is laid. A star stood forth in heaven, the watchers ran to see, the sign of the promise given, but there comes no sign to me, to me, to me. My child died in the dark. Is it well with the child? Is it well? There is none to tend him or mark, and I know not how he fell. The cross was raised on high, the mother grieved beside, but the mother saw him die and took him where he died. He died, he died. Seemly and undefiled, his burial place was made. Is it well with the child? For I know not where he is laid. On the dawning of Easter Day comes Mary Magdalene, but the stone was rolled away, and the body was not within. Ah, who will answer my word? The broken mother prayed. They have taken away my Lord, and I know not where he is laid. The star stands forth in heaven, the watchers watch in vain, for sign of the promise given, of peace on earth again. But I know for whom he fell. The steadfast mother smiled. Is it well with the child? Is it well? It is well. It is well with the child. That's it for me.
I got nominated.
You got nominated.
Thanks, Conrad. Enjoyed that. I hadn't heard poems from the Bible before, I don't believe. Thanks to Donnie. Wonderful, nice place again. Plenty of refreshments.
Well, I think we should wish him happy birthday this coming week.
Well, I just
Happy
had,
birthday.
Happy birthday
I just had a birthday last
When
week.
did you know that?
on Facebook.
Facebook tells everybody.
Conrad had a
I
birthday.
had a birthday this past Wednesday.
Happy birthday. Belated birthday.
75.
76.
Anyway, Donnie, I always feel better having been here. It's a nice place to come, you know. So.
Glad to have you here.
Vic was going to try to be here tonight, but he got tied up with some other stuff. Apologize.
I was looking through some of my files from some time back then, and I found this poem, and it wasn't accredited to anybody, so I think that famous author called Anonymous may have written it. Some of you might know where it come from. It said, I heard your voice in the wind. That's the title of the poem, and it says, I heard your voice in the wind today, and I turned to see your face. The warmth of the wind caressed me, and I stood silently in place. I felt your touch in the sun today, and its warmth filled the sky. I closed my eyes for your embrace, and my spirit soared high. I saw your eyes in the window pane as I watched the falling rain. It seemed as each raindrop fell, it quietly said your name. I held you close in my heart today. It made me feel complete. You may have been silenced, but you're not gone. You will always be a part of my life, as long as the sun shines, the wind blows, and the rain falls. You will live on in my memory, for that is all my spirit knows. I thought that was good. I kind of liked that. It kind of spoke to me a little bit, and so I don't know where it came from, but I liked it quite a bit. And then I found something from Joe Dan's favorite author, who is
Metcalf,
James Metcalf. I guess he's a, I don't know.
syndicated poet.
He is.
Well, I think he's passed
He's,
away now.
Forever seems like passionate, and he tells love stories.
Yeah.
It says, a dream to share. I wish you were here today beneath the sky of blue, because I have a special dream I want to share with you. It is a dream of happiness that lingered long ago, among the words and kisses and the love we used to know. It is a dream of flowers in a valley by the sea, and all the ships that touch the wind, of endless memory. A dream of everything I wish I could possess today, and all that I might have had if you had not gone away. I only wish that you were here, and all old were new, so I could kiss your lips again and share my dreams with you. Metcalf. And as I looked a little further there, I found the one called. And I was looking at this when we were getting ready to celebrate Randy's life at the funeral down there when sometime last month, I forget what day it was, but this thing came across my desk, and it's called The Other Side of Death. And I think this is a Elm St Rice piece here. It says, death is the gateway we all must go through to reach that fair land where the soul's born anew. For man's born to die, and his sojourn on earth is a short span of years, beginning with birth. And like pilgrims, we wander until death takes our hand, and we start on the journey to God's promised land. A place where we'll find no suffering or tears, where time is not counted in days, months, or years, and in that fair city that God has prepared are unending joys to be happily shared with all of our loved ones who patiently wait on death's other side to open the gate. It's from a collection of joy by Elm St. Rice. Anyway, those are the things that I looked at this month that came to my attention, and I kind of like them, so I wanted to share them with you. Thanks.
Thank you.
The arts. Announcement about the arts. Sunday evening at First Baptist Church will host the community Thanksgiving service every year, about a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. We have a community-wide Thanksgiving thing. It's at a different church every year, different hosts it. It's interdenominational, so the Presbyterians are usually there, Church of Christ, and Baptists and Methodists. And it's kind of a catch-up on what the various churches have been doing during the year as far as outreach and ministry, local ministries are concerned. And it starts at 5 o'clock. Everybody, the whole community is welcome to come. And afterwards, refreshments will be served. So if you want some free food afterwards, come to the service. It's always a good service. You get to see people from all over the community. So I invite you to come to the also. That's Sunday evening at 5 at First Baptist.
So who's number 3? Are you reading today, Donna?
Yes, not me. Well, when I worked at Lottie's store, Helen Steiner Rice was a good collection for me because I like, there's a lot of poems in there that has joy and happiness, but also gospel wordings. But I normally like humor poems or jolly or sunshine poems. But she struck me the most while I was working there in the store, so I ran up on 3 poems today that maybe I might read. Y'all might enjoy it. The first one is the gift of friendship. Friendship is a priceless gift that cannot be bought or sold, but its value is far greater than a mountain made of gold. For God is cold, for gold is cold, and life is less. It can never see nor hear, and in time of trouble it is powerless to cheer. It has no ears to listen, no heart to understand. I cannot bring you comfort or reach out a helping hand. So when you ask God for a gift, be thankful if He sends no diamonds, pearls, or riches, but the love of real true friends. This one is also kind of a friendship poem. Friends are life's gift of love. If people like me didn't know people like you, life would lose its meaning and its riches too. For the friends that we make are life's gift of love, and I think friends are sent right from heaven above. And thinking of you somehow makes me feel that God is love and He's very real. She has a lot of saying of love and friendship and godliness in her words. I guess that's why I like her readings. This one is Wings of Love. The priceless gift of life is love, for which the help of God above. Love can change the human race and make this world a better place. For love dissolves all hate and fear and makes our vision bright and clear, so we can see and rise above our pettiness on wings of love.
Okay,
Donna, that's my daughter Jennifer,
Oh, I wonder.
all the way from
I just
Palestine.
spawn. I just only spawn. This is my boyfriend Shane. He came 5.5 hours just to see me.
Hey, some ice, we got some ice right here.
It feels cold. Nice reading. Hey. What? You should have brought that book to read from. Yeah. You should have.
Chris, are you ready to read?
He's still digging his up, so I'll read mine. I got one cowboy poem to read,
Excellent.
but I also have one that, you know, kind of takes us all back, most all of us, to when Grandma and all that used to get her flour and sugar and all that, and save the material and make clothes and all this good stuff.
I don't remember any of that.
You're too young. You're a Yankee. They didn't do that stuff in Yankee land, did they?
Well, they did if they had grandmothers, but all my I don't have any grandmothers. Or grandfathers for that matter.
Did they have flour sack up there?
No, not that I know about.
Well, you'll learn something here on this one.
It came out of an egg, you know.
This is called a flour sack. In that long ago time when things were saved, when roads were graveled and barrels was staved, when worn out clothing was used as rags, there were no plastic wrap or bag, and the well and the pump were way out back. A versatile item was the flour sack. Pillsbury best, mothers in gold medal, two stamped their names proudly in purple and blue. The string sewn on top was pulled and kept. The flour emptied and the spills were swept. The bag was folded and stored in a sack, that durable, practical flour sack. The sack could be filled with feathers and down for a pillow, or 'twould make a nice sleeping gown. It could carry a book and be a school bag, or become a mail sack slung over a nag. It made a very convenient pack that was adaptable, that old cotton sack. Bleached and sewn, it was dutifully worn as bibs, diapers for you,
Yay.
or kerchief adorned. It was made into skirts, blouses, and slips, and Mom braided rugs from 100 strips. She made ruffled curtains for the house or shack from that humble but treasured flour sack. As a strainer for milk or apple juice, to wave men in, it was a very good use. As a sling for a sprained wrist or a break, to help mother roll up a jelly cake, as a window shade or to stuff a crack. We used a sturdy old common flour sack. Nearly done here. As dish towels, embroidered or not, they covered up dough, helped pass pans so hot, tied up dishes for neighbors in need, and for the men out in the field to seed. They dried dishes from pan not rack, that absorbent handy old flour sack. We polished and cleaned the stove and table, scoured and scrubbed from cellar to gable. We dusted the bureau and oak bedpost, made costumes for October, a scary ghost, and a parachute for a cat named Jack from that lowly, useful old flour sack. So now, my friends, when they ask you, as curious youngsters often do,
Yes.
before plastic wrap, Elmer's glue, and folded towels, paper towels, what did you do?
What did you do?
Tell them loudly and with pride, and don't laugh. Grandmother had that wonderful flour sack.
Aw, I never saw the flour sack.
We had a diaper
A couple other things I know that it made, you didn't mention. I wore many a shirts and shorts made out of that flour sack myself.
Aw.
Well, we didn't ever get off the farm, nobody saw us. That's
Was
what
it
we
like a
wore.
burlap bag?
No, it was a flour sack, with little shorts, and they put
That's
elastic in the
cool.
waist.
And with little bloomers.
There you go.
That's cool.
You never had done it. Should make you.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard those were, yeah.
but this is humorous cowboy poetry, okay? Which
I
like
couldn't
to
see the
read.
author of that.
I guess like this.
Is it-
Two.
It says a knee slapping gathering.
So it's
It's a knee slapping.
a collection,
It's a combined
yeah.
different authors and all that. I'm gonna read one called The Dead Horse.
Called what?
The Dead Horse
Oh,
by Tony Hardy. I think I'm gonna read it.
Where's your glass?
I need my glass.
I can say it. Okay, here we go. The ranch boss, Jim Ryan, bought a stallion named Red. One hell of a horse, so the auctioneer said. He paid a high price, but this horse he could scoot, and Jim knew that in time, Red would bring him home some loot. One day Jim had to leave, that's me, to buy some new stock. He worried about Red, because he sure was in the hot. He put Bill in charge while he was away. He said, take care of old Red, Bill, and scratch, he don't stray. Then several days later, when Jimmy called home, the telephone rang and Bill answered the phone. Bill, how's Red a-doing? Are you keeping him fed? But Bill answered, no. He said, Red, he turned up dead. Well, Jim, he started cussing. He said, that's a hell of a way to give me bad news when I'm that far away. You should have told me that the old Red got tangled up in a barbed wire fence, and he really got mangled up. Then I called back to check. You could say, boss, I won't lie, we got the best yet, but Red might die. When I called a third time, you could say, with frown, boss, we did what we could do, but Doc had to put old Red down. Old Red.
Poor Red.
When you get some bad news, break it to it gentle. Bill, think of folks' feelings and won't make them all ill. Bill said, Jim, I sure am sorry. I just didn't think. A bad shock like that could make a man drink. I got some more news that you might want to hear. You better sit down. This will come as a blow. Jim, your wife, she got tangled up in that very same wire. But we're working the hell to try to get her untied.
That was sad. I don't like sad stories.
This might be the biggest crowd we've ever had, folks. You ready to read, Chris?
I guess.
Okay, start.
I think I deleted it. Anyway, I found one, or I have one here about a cat. So,
A cat?
Meow.
You know, meow,
We
meow.
had the horse there and the cat.
Better not be bad. She loves cats.
I love cats.
I read it, but anyway. it might
Please
not
tell me
make
they
sense.
didn't die, Chris.
No. Okay, it says Cat by Mary Britton Miller. The black cat yawns, opens her jaws, stretches her legs and shows her claws. Then she gets up and stands on four long still legs and yawns some more. She shows her sharp teeth, she stretches her lip, her slice of a tongue turned up at the tip. Lifting herself on her delicate toes, she arches her back as high as it goes. She lets herself down with her tail and pads away with her tail in the air.
Oh, that
That's
was
it?
cute.
Man,
Thank you, Chris.
That's the second one, bud.
Thanks for sharing.
it's a different one about the guitar. It's by Patrick Phillips. It came with those scratches from all their belt buckles, palm dark with their sweat, like the stock of a gun. An arc of pink marked cuts clear through the lacquer, where all the players before me once thumbed these same latches, where it sleeps in the green velvet, once sang as I sing the old songs. There's no end to this world everlasting. We crumble to dust in its arms. And then that ends too. I'll have to find my other one for next time. I'll just walk through cyberspace.
Jen's glad just said
So
these
you
cowboys
reading,
and
Jill?
got him barbed wire.
Listen, Doctor.
Jill, are you reading?
Yeah, baby.
Hey, Jill, are you reading?
No, sir.
Please read. No, I didn't-
Jennifer, are you reading?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Donnie, you reading tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay, so
Say you read.
Oh, I don't even
that's
have,
everybody.
Care,
I should have let him come over.
6:47.
You know how to zoom it, don't you?
I think so.
All you do is zoom.
Thank you so, sir.
This guy
This is the zoom.
This is the Zoom.
I've heard of that,
he's
actually.
recorded anything. Was
Oh,
that
man,
hotel
Doc,
place?
if you'd ma- still.
We
Like
have to be
cowboys.
serious now. You're on 3. This is for real. This is the.
I've got a book here that was given to me several years ago by the now late Elizabeth Struby. She was the mother of Paul Struby. Paul Struby was a guy who lived here for several years out on 2088. Like if you go out 312, it intersects at East Point with 2088. Paul lived just a little ways to the west of the intersection, and then back into a kind of a pasture path to his house. He was a trained chiropractor. He had in fact, he still has a license to practice chiropractic. But after he practiced for about 5 years, he became an expert witness in court trials. So that has been his livelihood for the past, I'm going to say, 15 years or more. That he doesn't practice chiropractic anymore, but he's good enough at it and keeps his Texas license current so that he can appear as an expert witness in court. He lives in Colorado, has been for the last several years, but he had a little apartment here in Winnsboro in the city after his divorce. But for several years he came to Tenney Chapel, the quintessential country church, and was a valued attendee out there. He never joined the church. He had attended seminary, Dallas Theological Seminary, some of you have heard of that, kind of a non-denominational seminary. And so that he never intended to be a pastor, preacher, anything like that. He just wanted to know a lot about theology. So he took and graduated with honors, I think, because he was valedictorian of his high school graduating class. And one of the smartest men I've ever known personally. and that sort of thing. And he comes, his mother, Elizabeth, the one who gave me this book, recently died. And he came in for that event. And prior to that, he would come in once a year for visiting people and having work done on his car at Patty's, which is out on 154 out of Quitman. Some of you know it. He thinks it's the very best place in Texas to have work done on your car. And anyway, Paul and I discuss theology, and we feel free to discuss it in ways that we wouldn't feel comfortable if our pastors were there, although we don't think we would say anything that they would necessarily disagree with or anything like that. But they probably wouldn't say it in public as either Paul or I would. This is a very valuable book to me sentimentally. It's, from the standpoint of financial, it has very little value. Conrad, you might get, a nickel or a dime for this, maybe in your used bookstore. But I have, I've gone through this book and I've marked several that I'm interested in. I'm not, by no means going to read all of them, but I did have a couple here, and all of them are, most of the poems in this book are short. There are no epic poems in here. But I was struck by one that I'm not reading tonight, but I just want to mention, Annabelle Lee. If you were like me, and when you were in high school, you probably thought Edgar Allan Poe was the greatest poet who ever lived. And this is one of his poems. Everything he wrote, I think, is great. I believe I'm coming close to one of them that I was going to. Yeah, this is a part of a poem. It's not, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read one of the longer verses of it. This is called The Great Lover, and it's by somebody, let's see, Rupert Brooke. And I just thought this particular long verse in it was rather moving. You may or may not agree, but it's about love, and several of you have read poems tonight that mention love in a divine way. The Bible says God is love. So,
Amen.
I attended a wedding one time. A friend of my son, my youngest son, who got married in St. Mark's Catholic Church in Plano when I used to live in Plano. This was back in the 1970s. And Paul was his name. And he married a young girl named Lupita, Paul and Lupita. And there was a Catholic priest named Father Gale who performed the ceremony. I'd never spent any time with any of those. I never even met, nor have I since seen Father Gale. And I haven't seen Paul and Lupita since either. But it was a wonderful ceremony, and one of the things that Father Gale said was, the Bible says that God is love. He quoted that. And he said, if you're being joined in holy wedlock here, a sacred wedlock, and that so that each time you perform the act of love, you are witnessing God, because you are actually, this is what God is love itself. And here is one little verse, it's 6 or 8 lines, but love is a flame, and we have beaconed the world's night, a city, and we have built it, those and I. An emperor we have taught the world to die. So for the sakes I love, ere I go hence, and for the high cause of love's magnificence, and to keep loyalties young, I'll write those names, golden forever eagles crying flames, and set them as a banner that men may know, to dare the generations burn and blow out the wind of time, shining and streaming, these I have loved. It really moved me. I love that. There's one in here by one that all of you have heard of, all of you have read his stuff, All of you probably memorized something by this man, Robert Louis Stevenson. This is a little 10-liner called Requiem. You all know what a requiem is, right?
Refresh our memory.
Yeah. Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me die. Glad did I live and gladly die, and I laid me down with a will. This be the verse you grave for me. Here he lies where he longed to be. Home is the sailor, home from the sea, and the hunter, home from the hill. I know you've all read those last 3 lines somewhere, heard them, maybe memorized them. And concluding with another shorty. This one I think I like. This is by that famous poetess Christina Rossetti. I don't know of anything else she wrote, but she did a good job on this one. Some of you know that I love a song called Remember Me, and that it used to be the theme song of the late T. Texas Tyler, one of the great country singers of the 40s, 50s particularly. And some of you know it as a Willie Nelson song because he reprised it on the Red-Headed Stranger album. And if you're not as old as I am, you would know that it used to be the theme song of T. Texas Tyler 20, 30, 40 years before Willie Nelson ever recorded it. But this poem kind of strikes me as something that may have influenced that song. I don't know, but it could have. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land, when you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me. You understand it will be too late to counsel then or even to pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while and afterwards remember, do not grieve, for if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of your thoughts that once I had, better by far for you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. Thank you.
Very good.
I like that. I like that.
To conclude, as you always do, with a paragraph from How to Read a Poem, subtitled And Fall in Love with Poetry by Hirsch. We move to chapter 3 for the first paragraph. The title of this chapter is A Hand, a Hook, and a Prayer. Hand, a hook, and a prayer. One could write an essay on the theme of hands and poetry as poetry. Hands in poetry, hands as poetry. So much of post-romantic lyric poetry in particular has been about connection and disconnection. After reaching out across a divide in an intimate gesture, sometimes desperate, sometimes futile, toward another person, a destined you? Or is it about the inability or refusal to make such a gesture, turning inward instead toward a greater interiority, a deeper interiorization? The individual poem, especially the lyric of solitude, situates itself in distinct relationship to an imagined reader. If it presupposes an encounter with a real reader somewhere in an indistinct future. And it sets itself up at a particular angle to the universe of other people. Let me tell you, tomorrow in the daytime, from 9 till 3 at Tenney Chapel, the quintessential country church, there is a class, a workshop, call it what you will, on devotionals as during the life and times of John Wesley. This is from 9 to 3, and that will get you through half of the class. The next Saturday, it will conclude from 9 to 3 with part 2 and the ending of the class. I promise it'll be interesting. It's not free. You'll have to sign up and pay a little to take it. I'm not trying to sell the class. We already have a full class, but we have room for anybody that wants to show up if you're really interested. I forget now what the charge. Around, I think it's $10. Yeah. But anyway, it's a class or a workshop. Some call it a workshop. That's from 9 to 3. Now, some of you know already that beginning at 6 o'clock, 6:30 to be precise, we have the third Saturday concert at Tenney Chapel. So the class ends at 3. There'll be plenty of time. I'm going to take the class, by the way. There'll be plenty of time for me to open the door for the sound men. We open the door for the sound men at 5 o'clock. The concert starts at 6:30. Some of you are regular attendees of that. I'm just letting you know there's something else going on during the daytime if that strikes your interest and whatever. We're not looking for new members of the class, but we have plenty of room for more if you happen to show up.
That make you a certified Methodist if I come?
35 what?
Certified Methodist if I come take that class?
Oh, it's totally non-denominational.
Oh, okay.
John
It's
Wesley's
not
the
a-
speaker, right?
John Wesley is the founder of Methodism, but he lived during the 1700s. He was born in the early 1700s, died in the late 1700s. But there's been a movie about his life called Wesley, which if you've never seen, you can probably find it on Netflix or something like that. He was a famous theologian, and anyway, that's Doc and Chris will be on stage tomorrow night at Tenney Chapel. Do you have any other announcements for anybody?
He's got one there.
What?
Oh, you ready? Get my close up. Saturday, I will be at the Alamo with Nicholas Martinez playing
Alamo Mission Museum
Alamo Mission Museum
Mount Vernon?
in Mount Vernon. Yep, I don't know the county road, I can't remember, but if you take 37 to 21, you turn right and you go past 115 at the blinking light, and then when you see the skinny water tower, throw out your parachute, roll it to your left.
What are you gonna be doing there?
Singing.
Oh, playing the
What
guitar.
else going on?
Oh, stew cook-off, and that's at noon.
We'll have trade
And they're
today.
gonna have games and stuff. I don't know about trades. I don't know.
What are the times?
I know I haven't figured out. We haven't figured out what time we're playing yet either.
Should start around 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
A.M.
Yeah.
all day.
And it'll be over by around 4 or 5 o'clock, but
Yeah.
the stew will be judged, so I understand, and then you can buy a bowl of stew and eat. Mingle around, supposed to be a little bit of trades day going on out there. See the historic buildings that she has. I don't think she'll have any docents out there working, but, you know, it's a neat place to go look at if you've never been, but you can't get to the Methodist church to hear it, you know. The workshop, Alamo Mission Museum would be a good second choice.
Fabulous.
You say Nikki? Nikki
Nicky Martinez. Yep.
Nicky Martinez playing with you?
Or Nicholas. Yeah. I just happened to ask him, you want to play with me tomorrow? Sure.
Goes back to Joe Van. Back to you, Joe Van.
Okay, thanks for coming. We'll do this again.